town has a ghost story that's been passed down through the generations. But what if those legends were true? My name is Miranda Young, and I'm the Ghost Biker.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the show. Happy Thursday. This is the Behind the Screams of Season 5, Episode 4. So, we absolutely love doing these Behind the Screams because it gives the opportunity to really talk about and dissect the episodes that was released on Tuesday night. So if you've not seen this week, I hope you go back, check it out, because we did cover a very cool place that we're going to be chatting about tonight. I hope you guys, if you've got some questions, you'll put them over here in the question chat room session over here. Be sure to put them in all caps so that whenever I'm going through looking at it, that I make sure that if I get on a roll and get on a topic, that I'm able to go back and find it and that your question isn't missed. So anyways, hope everyone is doing well. We're almost here at the end of the month. We're less than 5 days out from Halloween and, almost to the very end of season 5 of Ghost Biker Explorations. We made it. It's exciting. And thank you guys so much for watching, sharing, commenting, and just, sending me your feedback on the episodes. I really appreciate that. A lot of work goes into this. This is essentially my Super Bowl season, and I'm always excited to get these episodes out and share what we've been working on throughout the year. So just want to say hello to a few people over here in the chat room. Hello, Dr. Sumner. Good evening, Miss Susan Purcell. Hello, Nancy Weems. And thank you, Dr. Sumner. I really do appreciate that. I've really enjoyed this season. If you've not watched any of the past episodes, I encourage you to go watch them. Been highlighting some of my favorite places, the county jail, and so I really love being able to put these themes together for the season. We're going to carry it into season 6. Already got some preparation on that coming up. But I love the themes and love to be able to not only highlight these locations, but really what's kind of special to me about these old county jails are the fact that these locations, they had such an interesting purpose and such a, I mean, it truly was a purpose with these jails, the reason they were built, the reason they were in existence. And, to be in operation, most of them have been in operation for over 100 years. A couple of them we highlighted, not as long, but they were all in existence for a long time and have new purposes now that they're no longer a jail. So we're going to get into that here in a few minutes. But speaking of jails, want to, kind of talk briefly about the historic Scott County Jail and a few things that we've got going on there. Being that, October is our busy season there and that we got Halloween coming up. We do have a couple private paranormal investigations this weekend on Friday and Saturday night, but we've got some great events for the public. We do have a haunted history ghost walk on Friday night as well as on Saturday night that we do still have a few tickets available for. We want to sell these walks out. We do allow up to 10 people per walk. And I think we have a couple tickets available for both of those. And the one tomorrow night starts from 6 and it goes from 6 until 8. It is a ghost walk around the town of Huntsville that ends with a hour-long flashlight tour and small little communication session up on the top floor with some of our spirits there at the historic Scott County Jail. So that's going to be on Friday night, and then at 6 o'clock on Sunday night as well. So we do have a few things planned also for, I think we have a guided ghost hunt on the schedule for Halloween where you can come and investigate with myself and Dr. Sumner there at the historic Scott County Jail. All of that is on the calendar under www.historicscottcojail.com. And you can find that link on the Facebook page as well as anywhere if you just go on and Google Historic Scott County Jail. So yes, Dr. Sumner is confirming that we do have a guided ghost hunt on October 31st at the jail. So want to make a little announcement here. I was going to wait and do it tomorrow, but we had some change in schedule. But we do have one more episode of Ghost Biker Explorations coming up. Typically, this runs through the month of October, but we're extending it. And November 1st, we'll be having our season finale. And what is special about this season finale, you ask? It's going to be live. And so it's going to be a live 2-hour season finale this coming Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Facebook Live. And then we're going to jump on here to the Ghost Biker Explorations YouTube channel at 10 p.m. and continue that Facebook Live. So you're going to be able to come on, ask questions, really immerse yourself into this live. It is going to be a fully immersed live season finale. We did this in season 1 at the Sunset Hill House, and it was a great time. So we're going to carry it on again, and the live is going to be from the historic Scott County Jail. So we're going to wrap up the season on jails with that live season finale Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern on Facebook Live on the Ghost Biker Explorations page, and then 10 p.m. Eastern Time on the Ghost Biker Explorations YouTube channel. So get your questions together. You will be seeing me doing some promo and stuff about this as we get closer to that live season finale. But let's wrap this season up strong and have a good finale and a good end to season 5. So if you have any questions in advance that you would like for me to ask, like I said, you can put it in the comments section that night. But if you want to reach out to me in advance, you can reach out to me on either the Facebook page, or you can email me at ghostbikerexplorations@gmail.com. So I'm going to go ahead and get into tonight's episode, just kind of looking here over the comments. Got some more people in here. Happy birthday, Steve. Thank you so much for spending your time with us tonight. Late Horror Show, thank you so much for always tuning in here. And Miss Lisa Remington, hello. Thank you guys so much. So if you watched this past week's episode, you'll see that we traveled on up into Kentucky to Franklin, Kentucky, one of my favorite places to visit. That's where Octagon Hall is, as well as the location that we highlighted this week, the Old Stone Jail. Franklin is a very special place. It's got an amazing history, great little town. Some great investigators are from that area. Some of my dearest friends, Bear with Octagon Hall, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, Vicki Norris, some amazing people come from that area and do a lot in the historic preservation and restoration of these amazing places. And, Franklin itself, it was named after Ben Franklin, and just a very rich history surrounding there. They've got history of cryptids, history of UFOs and ufology, as well as a lot of paranormal activity. It was a hub for Civil War activity there, with only being 30 miles south from Bowling Green and only being about an hour and a half to hour and 15 minutes north of Nashville. So this location, it saw a lot of activity when it came to the Civil War. So it's it's not it wouldn't be surprising that there would be a lot of paranormal activity at these locations. The Old Stone Jail, this place, I'm going to pull up the video here in just a second as we go through it, but it's such a unique looking jail. And 3 out of the 4 jails that we've highlighted so far have all been made out of stone. And, I think that lends a lot to the activity that that you have. I mean, especially when it comes to the sandstone being heavy with quartz and being a conductor. So no wonder these locations hold that activity inside. Plus, these county jails, each one of them have had a history of lynchings and mob justice or backwoods justice. Not sure if it's because we are here in the South, and it's a lot tends to happen a lot in some of these rural county areas, but the people of the community took justice into their own hands, and each one of these jails that were highlighted, we've been able to go in and find where mobs of people have broken in and taken out various inmates. So, just a lot of different history that we're able to correlate with all of these different jails that have been highlighted. The first episode being Fentress County Jail, or Ye Old Jail as they call it. Second episode, the old Atala Jail in Kosciuszko, Mississippi. And then, of course, last week's episode of the old Gilchrist County Jail there in Trenton, Florida. So these locations, they definitely have an interesting history as to how the jails came to be, what the jails are being used for currently, and then also some of the stories behind all of the different inmates that were in there. These jails have been open for a very, very long time, and so that being the case, they've had a lot. I'm talking a lot of different stories that have occurred within these jails. Nancy Weems limestone, limestone and sandstone both contain a lot of quartz, and so the majority of these jails that we've covered so far have been made out of sandstone. So, except for the the old Atala jail, which that one was more of a modern building. But yeah, lots of different history with these different locations. So I'm going to actually go ahead, pull this up, and like I said, say hello to a few people there: Supernatural Lost Adventures, Jim Cody, Connor Flynn. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll go ahead and pull this up, get this queued up on here. Let's see. So I'm actually going to start this without the music and such playing on here. That way we can kind of talk through it. There will be some key points that I will bring up once once we get started here with the video. But like I said, I really love this because we're really able to break down what we were doing during the episode and not have to use up the real estate of the episode to explain that, but we can do that here on this. Supernatural Lost Adventures says check out Old Hamilton County Jail in Jasper, Florida when you can. Yes, I have actually seen some pictures of that location and heard some stories about it. I know that Dr. Sumner from Soul Sisters and her twin sister did investigate there. They've not highlighted it yet. And I saw where you guys were just down there not too long ago. So I look forward to seeing and hearing what people have captured down there. I've actually heard really good things about it. So as I said, this particular location, the Old Stone Jail, it's not been open to investigators for very, very long. I think for the most part, it's been open, I think, for 2 years. This may be going on its third year. And this place, it's been around and used as the Simpson County Archives for a long time. But I know that they just recently opened it up, and investigators have been having very cool, interesting experiences since they opened the doors. I know that Bill Wilkerson with Whiskey Tango Foxtrot and also with the Simpson County Historical Society has done an amazing job with this location. Couple different things that have happened in that area that we did mention on here, which was the Montel flying saucer incident, as well as the Johnny Cash wedding that did take place there in Franklin, which I'd like to actually cover a little bit further. I won't get into it tonight, but that flying saucer incident is very interesting. And so we may be covering that at a later time. But what's interesting about this place is it is very small jail, and it's shaped. It's kind of got a cross when you go inside. The floor plan is kind of a cross floor plan. It is 2 stories, and it has 6 cells inside of those 2 stories. So it is rather small. This particular jail that we are covering is the 4th jail there of the 4th iteration of that jail. It's also got the jailer's quarters or jailer's residence, which is attached to it. And as an investigator, whenever you do rent that location out, you not only get to investigate 2 stories of the jail, but you're also able to investigate the jailer's residence, which is there. And so there are multiple rooms inside of there with some great artifacts. And then, of course, across the street is the Historical Society as well. It's this awesome museum. I mean, the community has done a great job of preserving their history and some very, very interesting exhibits that are over there. And you can also investigate that area as well. So I'm actually going to go ahead, kind of start the, I'm actually going to go ahead, start the audio on this, because it seemed, for me, a lot of the time, most of the activity that I ended up getting on this actually happened during setup. And so a lot of the time, on these videos, when I'm producing them and putting them out, a lot of the time we just kind of briefly show the setup and maybe have the music playing in the background doing a very quick summary of the setup. But I did this episode just a little bit different because a lot of what I captured was during the setup process. And so I had 6 static cameras that I set up, as well as different audio recorders and trigger items in the different areas. So I'm going to go ahead and play this and play a little bit of the audio, since some of this was captured during that time, and then we'll get to your questions. Did you hear that?
Yep.
Hello? Here, you haven't had guests in a while. We're going to come back up and talk to you.
That was pretty clear.
Yeah. Yeah, it was male, that's for sure. Right when we got it set up, I sound like it said hello. I'm definitely thinking the war room. I need to think about that. Do you need to lock the light?
Yeah. Did you hear that?
I did. The disembodied voices at this location were just incredible. Passing over here, you've got light reflecting on that case, and I think we'll have a lot of reflection and of ambient light. So I think that'll be good.
Okay.
Good deal. Old stone jail, static camera in the Civil War room, and static camera in the Pioneer room. Recorder is sitting in the center. I thought I saw, unless there was something outside, I saw something that just looked like it kind of passed through there, but I don't know what the light would have been from, because there's no lights from cars facing that way. Oh, that's nice. And so, of course, all of this was the jailer's residence, and there was 2 stories of that. And of course, this jailer's residence was also used as a jail cell from, I think it was from 1860 to 1879. Okay, this is the one that they don't shed like women.
Right.
So I'm thinking either here or up here could be good. Of course, they had each of these different rooms themed with different artifacts. The room we were just in was the music room, and it said that the lady that's in that room does not like women inside of that room. Lots of military artifacts throughout. Just a great display of items at this location. They just do an amazing job. And so I will actually add to this. So the second floor, we were going to investigate that. And at that time, they had actually kind of discouraged people from investigating on that second floor because they had some activity, a little more aggressive activity, especially more aggressive toward women on that second floor. And so I was given special permission to investigate that. You will notice at several points in time, I do bleep out the person's name that we were making contact with, because through their research that they've been doing at this location, they were actually able to figure out historically who could potentially be doing this activity. And so, again, being in rural areas, there are people who could be related to this and such. And so anyways, because we were speaking directly with this person up here who had committed very, very violent crime toward women, we decided to bleep out their name out of respect for the location. But also, like I said, we were able to investigate this. And so it was interesting because they had essentially put this entity in a sort of segregation by because he had gotten a little bit too aggressive. They weren't wanting people to communicate and stuff. And so they did say that allowed us up there to see if we could see if we could what we experienced. And so it was very interesting. We'll talk about those as we go throughout some of the different things that was captured, but that's kind of a little history there on that second floor and why we did things kind of the way that we did. Plus there was also some very interesting stories on the first floor of some of the different inmates who were being housed there. So we'll go ahead and start this back. All right. Was told we needed to come up here. So my name is Miranda. I know your name, but I'm going to see. I don't know. That was not the chair. I thought I heard a man say what? It's crazy. We were hearing a lot of these distant voices in the moment. Your name. I'm going to let you tell me your name. This has a word bank in it. Every. You can use it to communicate with us. This in the back here. You can touch that. Copper. Yeah, I've got some copper rods here. I did bring those. No. I'm not a copper. Are you talking about the metal or are you talking about the police? I'm not going to turn this on just yet. But I know that you know how to use that as well. So I've heard about you. So, can you tell me your name? Can you tell me what you're in here for? Heard you did something really bad. Are you standing over there behind me? I heard you like to stand behind people. Can you tell me what you did? That was me. All right, we'll try this as well. Can you tell me your name? Is your name? Did you hurt somebody? What are you in here for? I hear you trying to speak. Did you rape somebody? We've got two females up here. We're the only people on the property. Are you going to talk to us? Not even a radio station. We can hear you now. Did you hurt the woman? Pam and Wings. Did you hurt somebody named Pam? Ooh, it's dark in here. Picture Mason paint.
Interesting for the Masons.
Yeah. And it was interesting
Were
with
you a
that
Mason?
SB7, we weren't picking up
Blasting.
any radio stations, period, which was unusual. It is cooler in here. Is there somebody in here with me? Is there somebody in here with me? Either it's dramatically cooler, 69.5. Are you in here?
you
To answer your
know
question, Nancy, he never did say
How many
his name.
years were you in here? Or were you in here only months?
He did, however, maintain his innocence the entire time.
I'll sit that there if you want to talk. I'll try this again. Hey, this your cell? What are you in here for? Did you have a cellie? No? So you were in here by yourself? What year did you commit your crime? How do you feel about a woman sitting in your cell? I hear you've been kind of aggressive and they put you in solitary because you've not been playing nice. Have they been keeping people from seeing and talking to you? You're not going to talk to me? I know you know how to use these. Come on, we're going to leave.
Yep, right behind you. The EDI box.
You want us to leave? What did it do? Did it vibrate?
Red and yellow.
Okay. I lied. I'll try the rods. And then that's it. We're going to leave. We're not going to waste our time up here.
And so we really
Kind of
didn't.
making me feel angry a little bit.
We really didn't show a lot of the
I
rod
don't know why.
session because it just weren't
I
really
guess
getting any
because
responses on it.
They, said you were all big and bad and you won't even talk to me. Note sound in the hall. All right. I'm not going to waste my time or my energy if you're not going to talk to us. If you decide you want to walk around, we got a camera out there and lights. You can go and you can touch and you can see any of those lights. But otherwise, I really don't have much else to say. They can keep you in solitary for all I care and not let people talk to you. Then again, maybe it did its job. Gonna play a game of true or false.
So, of course, the Ovilus 5 there, it has a lot of different features. Most people use it as a word bank.
True or false?
Um,
Did you rape somebody?
But we wanted to test and try
False?
true and false. And the responses we got was pretty interesting.
True or false? Is your name false? True or false? Are you being honest with me? Are you telling me the truth?
True or false? Is your last name?
All you have to do is touch one of those. True or false?
False.
All right. Was there somebody in here named?
It's interesting.
Did you know him?
The entire time on the true and false, it never seemed to waver. It wasn't like you would get just a random true or false that if they told us false
True or false, inmate?
And-
Did you know?
and we ask a different question, they still continued to answer false. Or even if we changed the question up, it didn't change
True
to
or
a
false?
random
You
true.
knew. False. True or false? You knew the woman that you raped.
True or false, inmate? Do you? Okay. So you didn't know the woman you raped.
True or false? Oh.
Okay. Do you know my name? True. Can you say my name? Can you see us? False. You can't see us? Can you hear us? Okay. Can you show yourself? If I go back and look at my camera footage, will you show yourself? Okay, I will look for you later. Do we make you uncomfortable? True or false? Yes or no? True or false? No. You want us to leave? Okay. All right. Feel free to walk about in here if you want. And I see your questions over here. I'll make sure to get to those here in just a few minutes. Just a second. I hit that swimming. Hello. All of a sudden when I walk in here, I just don't feel much. Do you?
No.
I heard you like to use this. All right. I'm also going to give you this one as well. Did you say something?
No.
Okay, I did hear a voice just then. See? See? Now that, you can make that light up. How many people were in this cell? How do you feel about all these pictures of the police inside these jail cells? Yeah, stand here and get sleepy. Can you give me a sign that you're here? Do you know Mooneyhan? Did you know Mr. Mooneyhan? I want to ask you a question. What year were you in here? Did you know any of these jailers? Did you know Floyd James? Or Floyd Jones? How about Mr. Henry Aiken? Did you know John Bunton? That broke out of jail? Or was that a long, got a sharp pain in the side. He broke out of jail back in 1878. Was that before your time? Because I would say.
And that way we can charge the gimbal and the phone if you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because I say that would give, 30 minutes?
Yeah. Can you step back? Thank you.
It's like deja vu from Gilchrist.
Can you step up to it again, please? Show me how intelligent you are. Step up to that again, please.
Were we not paying attention to you? Are you trying to talk? That's weird that this thing's being quiet.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think we just talk here. We're not paying them any attention.
Yeah.
But like I was saying, just leave this stuff run. Leave the equipment just run and we'll go do our own thing for a little bit.
Okay, we're gonna step out. If you're not gonna talk to us. Where?
What type of where?
Like where at?
Huh. Interesting.
Well, where we're going is over to the jailer's house.
You gonna come?
You gonna come with us? Your motorcycle. Hello. Is this your room? Come on now. All right. All right. Is this your room? Do you like music? If you like music, go up and light that box up. Actually, any of these 3 boxes right here will light up.
Can you tell us your favorite song? Yeah, that's right. Okay. So you like Elvis, huh? Well, that's really cool. Did you know Elvis is dead? What's your name? I like some Hank Williams. I'll have to go back and see what that said. Can you repeat that? I'll have to go back and listen. Is the lady that stays in here now? What is your name, ma'am?
REM pod.
What? Yeah. Are you behind me? We'll start this back up. Be kind of loud for a second. There we go. All right. So we were talking about music. Do you play an instrument? Can you see me? If you can see me, what am I pointing at? What instrument am I?
Swear to God, that's the piano.
That's the piano. Oh. Okay, thank you. Look at that.
It's your REM pod. You just need to turn that off.
I think so. I put a little battery in it. Let me wait. Do you want us to leave this room?
Right, so we'll get to a few of the questions that I saw over there. That was, one of the shorter episodes that we put out this season, but a lot of great activity. I especially loved the activity that we were getting there at the end. I always love it when we're able to get stuff on the spirit box or on the Ovilus that we're able to. We really can't explain, like for instance, when you point something out and you don't say what it is and you're able to get it on the spirit box. I absolutely love that session where we got Jailhouse Rock, and whoever we were speaking with was clearly a fan of some Elvis, and then it's kind of interesting on that. Thank you very much. If you listen to that with headphones, it's actually a totally different voice, and kind of has that that Elvis impersonating kind of sound to it. So I really, really liked that session, as well as pointing out the piano and getting that. So just going to go back, look at some of these questions and comments. Yes, Nancy, the activity there seemed to be very intelligent. At all of these jails that we investigated, the SB7 and the Ovilus, just, I mean, those were the tools that seemed to rule the day of the investigation, just because getting very intelligent responses, and getting responses that were very pertinent to the situation. So that's definitely something that I found in investigating all 4 of these county jails so far. So let me just kind of scroll through up here and make sure that that I didn't miss anything. Let's see here. Okay, we did talk about the old Hamilton County Jail in Jasper, Florida. We did talk about that. Dr. Sumner says it was pretty interesting. Let's see. Yes, Joe, goes to show you turn on your recorders right away. That's a really good point to make, because we find every time I go to a location, just from all the time doing this, that as soon as you get there, you're best off when you're doing your tours, when you're doing your setup, it's best to go ahead and turn those recorders on if you can get a camera documenting, because you just never know. And it always seems like when you're not actively investigating is when you capture some of the best stuff. In our jail, the restroom is the drunk tank, and we've had several different teams who have caught good things in the restroom. Don't even turn those recorders off when you go in there. Joe also asks, are the cells bigger? The hallway looks long. It's pretty tight. The hallway, like I said, there were 6 cells. If I'm not mistaken, I believe the cells held 4 inmates in them. They had varying amounts of beds inside there. To me, it was pretty tight. But the hallways were long. I mean, it's essentially just a small square building that did its due and its purpose of holding these inmates in. From some information from the tour that I did before the investigation, just like our jail and like some of the others we visited, it was a very primitive jail, and of course it had those straps and slats in over the windows there. They didn't have the bars, but they had solid rock slats in there, and with openings. Of course, it was closed up now, but according to Bill, who gave us the tour, he said that back when he was younger, and he's not very much older than I am. He said that he can remember when it was in use, and that those slats were actually open. So it was also a very primitive and probably a very cold jail in the winter and a very hot jail in the summer as well. So it was definitely somewhere that you did not want to be in. And again, I said it while we were going over the show, the jailer's residence, it was also used as a jail for a short period of time. And they did have the cells primarily there on the 2nd floor, something that we didn't show during the investigation just because I didn't get any activity when I was actively investigating, but we did show it during the intro up on the 2nd floor. And this is probably one of the coolest features about this jail. There are some graffiti up there on that 2nd level, and it does depict Civil War officers in uniform. And they actually have some different pictures when we show it in the intro. They have some different pictures placed up there by those drawings, and they do believe that they were able to match up who some of these individuals were in the drawings. They were different Confederate officers and Confederate guerrillas that were held there on that 2nd level during the war. And so I didn't get very much activity in there, but it is a very cool place to see, and it is somewhere that they do get a lot of different activity on some of the other investigations. And so Supernatural Lost Adventures, Dan says, I have always been drawn to county jails, lots of hidden stories and history. And I've got to totally agree with you there, Dan. I mean, these county jails, I mean, they're just hundreds, if not thousands, of stories. You know, a person can be a repeat offender and come in there and they have so many different stories just from their times that they've been in there and from other folks in these, centuries that these jails have been open. So it's a lot of different history and a lot of different hidden stories that you could probably spend your career as an investigator investigating jails and not cover all the stories that just one or two of these locations have to share over their time when they were in operation. Um, let's see. Mitchell says, does it concern you when they know your name? I would freak. Um, you know, up until I had done these jails, the only location that I ever got my name at was Hell's Bar Dam. And it is an odd experience when they know your name. I know investigating with other investigators, I have been um, we have done sessions where they have called other people's names. It's interesting because each of these jails, I feel like all of them, with the exception of one, I got my name at these locations, and they were actual disembodied voices rather than on the spirit box or aided by any type of ITC. They were actual disembodied voices. So it is a little unnerving, especially being that it's in a jail. So I'm not really sure, how to, kind of, I guess when thinking about it, how to link that. But it is interesting that the only other places that I've ever gotten my name have been either at Hell's Bar Dam or at a county jail. So it can be a little unnerving for me for the most part. I tend to think, this is why I'm here. So it's a little more of a adrenaline rush, I guess, for me when they know your name and shows their intelligence. So uh let's see. Janet says, wonder what activity you would get if a relative of that person was on the investigation with you. That's a great question, Janet. Whether it be a relative of that person or a relative of the victim, I think that it could be completely different activity. It's kind of hard to say. I can only go back to the investigations that I myself have conducted. And the one instance that I did have where I investigated a location and had a relative, the Sunset Hill house, when we were investigating that, the homeowner, who was elderly and hadn't been in the home for a number of years, we did record her asking some specific questions of one of the spirits who we don't believe that it was her deceased husband. We do believe that it was somebody mimicking her deceased husband. And when we asked the same questions as her, we got completely different activity than when her voice came on the recorder and asked the specific questions. So I do believe that different people trigger different activity, and it would be for sure interesting to see, just because from what I've experienced on past experiences. Say hello to David Anderson, to Fabian. Thank you guys so much. Nancy asked, did he ever say his name? No, he did not ever say his name. And if I'm not mistaken, based on the true and false questions, this person denied being that person. So, good question. And had we, we chose to bleep the name out. Had we captured the name, that's a little bit of a different story. But no, he did not ever say his name. Let's see here. And Nancy also says, what do you think he meant when he said he lied? I think just that, it was interesting that was the response that we got at the end. I don't know if he lied about who he was or lied about what he knew, but it was a very clear response that he lied. So, and who knows? may have been talking about, the aggressive activity. He may have been accusing the location owner of lying. But he did respond, "I lied." So kind of interesting. Janet also asked, did he show himself? And I know you were asking in response to the situation on the video where we were doing the true and false, and we asked if they would show themselves, and he said that he would. At this time, going through the footage, I have not seen anything. We did have that area covered. We also um, uh, had laser grids, that sort of thing, set up a lot of different ways while we weren't actively investigating in there at this time. I think there is still just a little bit of footage to go through. But at this time, going through the majority of the night, he didn't show himself. It is interesting to note, and this is something that I will be releasing on my Behind the Static, which are static cam footage. So we didn't get a lot of communication on that second floor. And so left the cameras rolling, left the audio recorders up there rolling, investigated the location. I think I was there for about 9 hours. And so a lot of footage to go through. Interestingly enough, on that second floor, so as we were packing up, we did leave that the last set of equipment to pick up. And so I did have to, get my bike and all that stuff loaded up. Anyways, as I had everything loaded when I went back up to get the camera and stuff off that floor, and again, it had been quiet, but I left the spirit box rolling. And as soon as I stepped up on that floor, we got the response, "She's back." And so that is something that I will be releasing on my static cam footage at a later date. But there were some responses while we were gone. Clearly, they didn't want to talk to us, but they did talk through the spirit box while we were gone. So that was definitely some interesting responses from that second floor during the investigation. And Lisa, thank you so much. I love to hear not only ghost stories, but also about the history of the buildings. And that's definitely a passion with what I like to do with Ghost Biker explorations. And that's why I always do that at the first part of the video. I wasn't sure how much with this location, we heard some great disembodied voices, but as a whole, it was one of the quieter nights. Very active with the spirit box, very active at certain sessions, but the majority of the time when I was actively investigating throughout all the areas, it was relatively quiet. And so we even had Bill from the Historical Society and Whiskey Tango Foxtrot come and investigate with us to see if he could, get an increase in any activity. It was still fairly quiet at that time. But, my goal with this, because there is so much history with this location, that I was going to release it whether I had much activity or not. And once I sat and was going through the videos and everything, saw that, the audio was actually, you never know if your audio captures those disembodied voices. And so we're really fortunate that it did actually catch them. So this location, like I said, most of the activity or some of the most active times at this location was during and just after the Civil War. So because there was so much Civil War activity that took place there, they took over the jail, the Union did, and used it to house Confederate prisoners. So just a lot of activity surrounding this location, as well as in the later years, several of the different stories. There was an inmate who died when his bed was set on fire. Another who got a guard's gun, committed suicide there in that first floor hallway. So a lot of really interesting stories and activity that or a lot of interesting stories that could perpetuate activity. So, um, let's see. Thank you guys so much. David also asks, did he plead guilty or was he found guilty? From my understanding, uh, he was found guilty. From my understanding, and like I said, this guy, they had gotten certain types of activity, and they were able to do through their research. They were able to narrow it down to several different people, and then through that narrow down process was able to determine who it was. So my understanding, now I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that he was found guilty. And like I said, we didn't want to call his name out on that. So if there's any other questions, we're going to be wrapping things up here in a few minutes. But if there's any other questions, please feel free to put that over here in the comment section. And again, thank you guys so much for spending the evening with me, for watching these investigations and sharing them and putting your comments here. It's truly an honor to put this out and for you guys to give me your feedback and everything. We really appreciate that. And I got to say, this season 5 has just been so much fun, and it's been one of my favorites, especially being able to cover these county jails and put this out here. So Jim Cody says, how do you and Chris address the security of locations for your safety? I can't really answer for Chris because, she doesn't really travel with me a whole lot on this. She has helped me film a couple times, so I can't really quite answer for her and her sister. But as for myself, a lot of these locations do tend to be in kind of rougher areas. Now, I will say, like the jail that we were just in there at Simpson County, it's right in the middle of downtown. And it is in a very secure area because it is the historical archives there. It's pretty well locked down. And, that's kind of one of those things that, we do look at. Several other places, Gilcrest, where we were in last week's episode, it is in a very rough area, and we weren't aware of that when we went. Although talking to the owner of the location at the time, she did inform us, and of course that's when we made sure we had our guns. I do always carry on investigations as long as I'm in a state that does have reciprocity with my concealed carry permit. I do always carry, just because typically I'm either investigating alone or I am with someone, at one other person. Cemeteries, that sort of thing, can be a little sketchy. For myself, when it comes to the security, I do like to have a conversation up front, because we do try to look at everything involved. We do look at, noise contamination. Is this in a heavy trafficked area? Is this a solitary place? All of that kind of plays into the safety and security as well. I've been in locations where I've seen drug deals go down in the parking lot. I also I used to do a lot of lives at locations. I kind of, you have to be careful about that, because if you are going to be at a location alone and somebody knows where you're at ahead of time, somebody can either come and mess with you or cause contamination. So we look at different things to address the safety, because sometimes there are staff members that are on site. We always, as far as my episodes, I do always put that in the status part in the beginning, if it's just myself, or if it's myself, my videographer, and essentially somebody else on property. When we did Henry River Mill Village, there was a security guard, because you're in an entire village with multiple houses. They did have a security post at the front of the property there, and they did have a security guard on duty. So, so the safety is something that is of an extreme concern of ours, and that's a great question. Jim. I know Chris can probably answer from her point of view, but that is something we definitely have to keep an eye on. Let's see. Janet says, thank you so much for all the interesting content. I've loved season 5 so far. Thank you, Janet. We definitely appreciate that. Lisa says, do you ever get scared that you could bring something that could attach to you? Not typically. It is something that does happen from time to time, but for me, I have I'm constantly in prayer, in prayer before the investigation, in prayer after, and in prayer during. If I'm being honest, I've only ever had something come home or travel through my house one time, but I'm typically not concerned of that because I mean these spirits, they typically tend to stay, in those locations where we're investigating. So it is something that can happen, but you just have to take precautions. And it's not been something that's really been a concern or problem for me. And then, of course, David says, if you ever need help with security, hit me up. I have training in that area and I do have my concealed carry. Thank you, David. Definitely appreciate that. But yeah, that's something we always like to look at. And of course, at the jail, we always try to create a safe and secure environment for any of our teams that are investigating. But you just never know when you're dealing with abandoned locations. It is something that you do have to look at, and we do account for when we go to them. So, great questions tonight. Definitely appreciate that. Appreciate everyone watching. And like I said, this coming Tuesday night, we're going to wrap it all up. We're going to end strong with a live season finale. It's going to be a live interactive season finale at the historic Scott County Jail, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Ghost Biker Explorations Facebook page and 10 p.m. Eastern Time on the Ghost Biker Explorations YouTube channel. If we, because we're streaming it the way we are, we can't stream at both at the same time because we are in a big stone building. So we're going to have to break it up between the two. I'm not going to be able to do it through StreamYard. I'm going to have to do it on both of those. So if you want to join for both, you can join first for Facebook and then tune on over on YouTube, or you can just join for one, but definitely come with some questions and we'll also cover the history and be talking, it'll be live, but we'll kind of do it like we do a typical Ghost Biker episode. We'll start with some history. We'll break into the investigation, and we'll go from there. See where the night takes us. So, really looking forward to that. Lives are one of those tricky things where you never know what's going to happen, but I absolutely love doing live investigations because it can put you there in the moment. You never know. We're going to be experiencing this together as to what happens or what doesn't happen. And we'll just kind of see how it goes. So leading up to that, we'll definitely have some stuff going on. Like I said, things going on at the historic Scott County Jail this weekend. Hit us up on the historic Scott Co Jail website, as well as historic Scott County Jail Facebook page. I will also be releasing a video that shows everything that went down at the 2 weeks ago at the Wildcat Harley Davidson London Laurel Tourism Commission Ghost Biker Exploration Hogs and Haunt weekend. We're going to have a video kind of wrapping that up. We're already working on next year's motorcycle ride and investigation and getting that date and everything planned out, working on events for 2023. So stay tuned for that video that we'll have coming up. Hopefully be releasing that here over the weekend, as well as I'll be on 104.1 My Mix TV on Monday morning. They're going to be doing a live remote on Halloween, and I'm going to be there live talking about my live investigation that's going to be on Tuesday night. So that'll be at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time on My Mix TV 104.1 WCLE. So more information on that coming up soon. So if there's no other questions, thank you guys so much for hanging with me tonight, for recapping this episode, for watching the original. If you've not watched the others, go back, binge them before the finale, and binge watch some of those previous seasons, because we've hit some cool places as well. And so, again, thank you guys so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the weekend. And until I see you on Tuesday night, God bless, and we will see you very soon. Take care.